Alright guys, let's do a little hinging on these elevons. Got them trimmed, got them nice and straight. You can see I put a little tape in 3 sections here. So we can go ahead and start the hinging on the top, and then in the exact same spot on the bottom, I put a tape, and a tape on the exact same spot on the opposite side. And I don't go very far up onto the rubber tape. And what I'm doing here is, to get this straight and get this started, I have some tape pulled off the edge of the table here in some lengths, and I'm going to do what we call here is a Z-hinge. So on a Z-hinge, what we do is we take the tape and we overlap it by about 3/16 of an inch. Actually, not even that. More like just under 1/8 of an inch, or say 2 to 3 millimeters. And when we do that, we slide the tape in the gap. The area that is overlapped on the tape stays in the gap underneath the bottom of the plane in the hinge area. So now that the tape is face to face, what I do is on the bottom of the plane, I have it taped to the back end here, and I'll pull it back just a little bit, and I'll trim that tape off a little bit. But what we're doing is we're leaving that tape in this rooted area behind the back end of the elevon hinge. Then on the other side, we have the tape goes the opposite way, so it's not sticking to the plane, it's actually sticking to the elevon. And what we're doing is we're hinging underneath the aircraft, and then it comes out, up, and then over and onto the elevon. It's what they call a Z-hinge. So it basically goes from the elevon, over the top of the elevon, underneath the hinge line, and then over and tapes to the wing. And then we do another one just like that, but we do it doing the exact opposite of that. So I'm getting another piece of tape, and we'll do this in 3 places on this hinge line. So again, I will take the tape, I will stick it together a little bit. So now we are going on top of the wing, not the elevon. We're going to go underneath the elevon. I'm going to cut it a little bit short. So now, again, the tape goes right into the joint. The overlap point is in the joint hinge area. Is down inside this area here, and then you tape it on. So now you have a Z hinge, and the Z hinge itself, you have one that goes under the plane and then on top of the elevon, and then one that goes under the elevon and then on top of the plane. And then what you get is you get a very, very straight and true tape hinge area, and when you pull on it, it pulls to the edge here. And what we'll do is we'll do that here. We'll do it once in the middle. What I'll do is I'll put a Z hinge, one on this side, and have one go under the wing and then onto the elevon. And then on the other side, I'll have one on under the elevon and then comes up on top of the wing on the other side of this hinge joint here. So it might take a little bit longer, but when the airplane's elevon pulls, what's nice is it pulls to where it's hinged on top of the control surface and then underneath the wing, and then the opposite on the other side. So when it actually pulls, it pulls nice and tight, and it pulls it to that sharpest edge of the trailing edge of the foam. So again, Gonna overlap the tape a little bit. I'll turn the hinge so I can actually get it down in the joint. I got my finger underneath so I can grab a hold of the sticky. So I'm going to pull it down into the gap so you can see it here. So I'm going to fold it on top of the elevon, and then underneath the plane I'm going to land it on the back side of the foam. You can always take that excess and put it right on that cap. I'm also going to run another piece of tape across here when we're done. So we're going to do that again, and we're going to do it on the other side of that piece that I just put down, but the exact opposite way. So we have these hinges that go down in 3 places on the aircraft that help these stay centered. So now I'm going to go on top of the trailing edge of the foam, and then underneath the elevon takes a little bit of manipulation skills to get this done, but it makes for the best true hinge you could possibly get. On an aircraft that's running tape hinges. So again, now I'm going to tape it to where the overlapping pieces of tape is down under the wing, just inside the root joint. Then I'm laying it down on top of the foam. And then I am flipping it over and going up onto the elevon. And I don't take it too far up onto the Plastidip because I'm going to run another piece of tape along that edge. And you can see when I run it on that edge, it looks like this. So it kind of covers those areas right there. And what you do is you do 50-50 tape. You do 50 tape on the wing and 50% on the elevon. And then when I tape the backside, I do the same thing. I'll do tape only onto the trailing edge here, and then I will wrap it over and then onto the elevon. So we have a really nice hinge. So you have this hinged multiple ways. We're getting closer. Again, I'm going to slide it down into the joint. Now I'm laying it down onto the rubber. I'm going to trim it back a little bit so it doesn't go crazy, because this is just going to get covered with tape anyways. And then on the bottom, again, pull it up. Make sure, hold your fingers underneath so that all the edges are true. Don't pull it too hard, but pull it up and make it nice and snug. So again, I have the piece of tape on top of the wing. It goes on top of the wing and then underneath and under the elevon like a Z. So we'll go ahead and make another one. And do the exact opposite way. Sorry. Now I'll take that piece of scrap and just run it right over the top. See, now you have a Z-hinge. And the Z-hinge nice and true all the way down. What I'll do is I'll run another piece of tape across here now. On this molded foam, you always want to tape to an area that's been Plastidip. If it doesn't have a layer of Plastidip on it, your hinging tape will not stick well. That is the whole reason for Plastidip. That and it actually adds very good protection from UV and from abrasions. Okay, I'll get a really nice hinge. And when I do this one, I'll tape it on the back side, but I won't wrap it way onto the bottom of the wing. I'll only wrap it up onto the contour. And right on the wing joint, just give it a little bit of pull and some nice pressure, and fold it back on. I'll usually cut a couple reliefs in here as it folds on, just because it makes it easier to work with. The EPP elevons aren't as clean and pretty as the wood elevons, but they are very, very functional. They have really good performance, and they're very, very durable. If you see any bubbles that you have in there left over, you can go through with your razor or a needle and pop the bubbles a little bit and push it down. There you go. And now the hinge itself wants to stay up a little bit, so what I'll usually do is go through with a little bit of warmth. Don't touch it on the Plastidip, but just touch it onto the hinge line, and this will get the hinge to relax a little bit. And I'll do it a little bit on the back of the hinge. And this helps also adhere the tape to the Plastidip a little bit better, even though it sticks really good already. and now the hinge is more relaxed and it's fluid. So there you go. That's how to do the Z hinge on the Drac.